Greg Hunter. Go ahead, Greg.
So, Sean, what was the reaction of your players when you talked to them about the rest of the season being canceled?
Yeah, it was like a slow. I don't know. The news kept changing. All I can say is we woke up that day. It was actually on, I want to say March the 12th, I believe, a Thursday. And we woke up that day thinking we were getting ready to leave the next day to go start our spring break, which every spring break we always go down to the Carolinas. We had a trip planned to Pinehurst, Hilton Head, and then we were going to play in a tournament hosted by South Carolina. So we woke up that Thursday thinking, hey, we're going to leave. And then it was like we're starting to get some calls from Steve Urias, our sports administrator, and Shane, obviously, that, hey, you might want to sit tight. We might not be able to do that spring break portion. And then it was, you're not going on spring break, and then that tournament's canceled. And then later that day, we found out, the NCAA canceled all spring sport championships, which meant no golf. So but that's kind of how it unfolded. So it was just, like watching something very slow happen. And it wasn't all at once. But I think our guys had a pulse on the whole situation. They kind of knew, looking at March Madness and all those things that were being canceled, that, it's probably going to happen. So that's how it kind of played out. Obviously, the seniors took it harder than anybody, and everybody was kind of upset. But it's something that we have never seen before, and we're all kind of living through it now. And each day you still kind of have to come to terms with it and see what's best for the world, and understand that golf is very, very insignificant when it comes to that.
Justin Jackson, go ahead.
Oh, Coach. Hey, just kind of wondering, you had two seniors on your team this year, and your sport is kind of unique in the sense that you guys play in the fall and in the spring. Obviously, the news coming that the NCAA is going to allow seniors to come back for the spring sports. Can you project that your seniors would be able to play both semesters again if the season starts back up, or any kind of news? Would they just be able to compete in the spring again? Any way how that might work out?
Well, they would be able. The NCAA allowed them to come back for the whole year. So basically, they kind of redshirted the year. Now, whether they come back or not, I don't know. We're still working through that. There's still a lot that's to be determined. Each school is sort of handling, that a little bit different, that suits their needs. So we're working through that. But I'll say this, I would love for those two guys to come back. I mean, Philip Metlari is playing the best golf of his life. He just finished third place at the Seminole Intercollegiate down in Florida. 4.0 student, Etienne Papineau, another senior, has played for pretty much every single tournament his whole career. And you talk about two great guys as far as student athletes, leaders, golfers, just, human beings. I mean, they're awesome. I would love to have them back. Now, whether it works out or not, I don't know. We're still working through that. But I just know I would love to have those guys back. But they sort of made life plans based on they're going to graduate in May, try to turn professional. Philip lives in Germany. Etienne lives in Montreal. So it's just not as easy as it sounds as far as, they get another year, just come on down. There's a lot of decisions to be made, but I do want those guys to come back, and we talk almost every day about how's it going to play out. But we'll see how it works out. But if they do come back, they'll be able to play the entire season.
Just a reminder to ask a question to Coach. Use the raise hand feature under participants. Next question comes from Kevin Kender.
Morning, Coach. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Yes, sir.
Kind of a follow-on to Justin's question. You all have 4.5 scholarships that you can split and deal out. I think that's correct. I was looking online. There's almost 300 men's teams and the average last year in the NCAA was something like 10 players per roster. You had 8 on your roster last year. So does that help you a little bit, give you a little bit more flexibility for what you can do with recruiting and if one or both of your seniors comes back?
Yeah, I mean, we found that our formula works best here if we have 8 or 9 guys. The facilities that we travel to and practice at works better if we have 8 or 9 as opposed to 10 or 11 or 12. When I was at Mississippi State, we always had 12, but we had our own practice facility and you could do that. So yeah, it definitely gives us some flexibility, because the other issue with the NCAA saying seniors could come back, but also everybody gets another year. Juniors get another year, sophomores, freshmen. So it really, you start to have to juggle what's going to look like in 2021 class, 2022 class, and the juniors now, are they going to stay for 2 more years or just 1 more year? So there's a lot of moving pieces, and I think it is an advantage that we only have 8 on the roster, because we can sort of absorb some guys staying around. We want them to stay around. I mean, if they're here now, they've proven they can play and take care of the business and represent WVU a class. So, I'd love to have them around. So, yeah, you're right. If we had 12 and then, had already committed 3 guys coming in and had some commits for 2021, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Talk to some other coaches. They're in that boat. I can't imagine what baseball coaches are going through, but yeah, that is an advantage for us that we do have a slimmer roster.
Go ahead, Greg Hunter.
So, Sean, you mentioned practice facility there. Obviously, you guys have the hopes of having one constructed. You already have the site picked out and all those type of things. But economically, this is going to throw a huge, monkey wrench into all college athletics. So have you had that discussion with Shane? Is that still pushing full go, back burner? What are your thoughts on that?
We haven't had specific discussions on that, but I'm definitely very realistic and understand that a practice facility for a golf team right now is probably not the top priority in the world. So, which I totally agree with, to be honest with you. I mean, right now, you look at the big picture. I mean, you want the world to return to normalcy. I think we all miss so many things. We took so many things for granted, just basic human interaction and going out to eat dinner and things like that. So let's just get the world back to, normal, healthy, safety, being able to travel, compete. I mean, right now we would just love to see the old gold and blue play anything, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever. And eventually down the road, we'll get back to fundraising at some point, but we're just so grateful that people have donated to our program, whether it's for the facility or just operations, donated for scholarships, and we'll get there when the time is right. I've always said you just do what you can with what you have where you are, and hey, if we have a practice facility in a year, great. If it takes 10 years, then so be it. We're still going to try to do the best we can with what we have, and that's the way we've always done it. So it's kind of a long answer, but I'm just very realistic about it. And hey, when it happens, and we got to take care of the world and health right now.
Just a reminder to raise your hand if you have a question. Go ahead, Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, one last one from me. Kind of going back here to some of these decisions that these kids have to make. Obviously, most of the majors have already been postponed for this year, I guess. Many of the other, if not canceled, many tournaments are being canceled or postponed. Just kind of wondering what your reaction is to, watching a Masters in November, and also, with these tournaments being postponed and canceled, how that might play into the decisions that these kids have to make.
Yeah, I think as far as the majors, PGA rescheduled, the Masters rescheduled, and the U.S. Open. So all the American, that are played on American soil have rescheduled. I don't think the Open Championship is going to be played. The RNA announced that. My reaction is like, I mean, I almost started crying that they said the Masters would be played in 2020. I was so happy. So hopefully, for a lot of reasons, one, you want to watch the Masters, but two, that we'll hopefully be playing some major sports later this fall, which is a good sign. So hopefully we can do that. For our guys, I'm not sure it's going to affect anybody's decision so much, but I do have some, connections and relationships with guys that are going to play in, the U.S. Open, the Masters. So they're excited because that's when you qualify for those kind of events and to see it taken away, it's kind of, you can't believe it. So now that they're going to be able to play it, and again, they're excited. And I think as golf fans, sport fans, you just want to see anything to be played. So hopefully that's a good sign that those things are being rescheduled with the intent to actually play them. I think we all want to see some live sports here soon.
Go ahead, Derek Red.
Hey, Sean. At least in West Virginia, I think the golf courses are still open even with the social distancing policies. Do you know in your guys' home states, at least the American guys, whether that's the case there? And if so, how, are you able to kind of maybe give them plans or ideas just so they can go out and still keep their skills sharp because they have that opportunity that I think a lot of other athletes in other sports don't have?
Yeah, it's true. It depends on where you're at. Each state's handling it differently, and each community and each club. I know some guys they're not able to play. Etienne Papineau, senior up in Montreal, everything's shut down. So he's posts videos, sends videos of him in his backyard just hitting into a net over and over every day. That's all he can do. And then you have say Curtis Grant, who's originally from Virginia. Now he's moved to Pinehurst over last year. So he lives there full time with his family, and he's able to play every day at Pinehurst. And that's all there is to do. He walks. Most golf courses have done something with the cups to where, the ball just kind of either doesn't go in the hole or barely goes in the hole. So there's no, touching of the flag stick. There's no rakes. Nobody's touching some rakes. So you can really physically distance yourself and not touch anything else that anybody else does that day. So depending on where you live, you can do it in a safe manner and get out and exercise. But like you said, some guys are able to practice, some guys are not. I got kids in Germany, everything's shut down. Canada shut down. Parts of Pennsylvania, there's no golf. So it kind of depends on where you're at. And so some guys are lucking out and they're able to play a lot, and some are not. But it's if you are able to play, it's good to stay sharp, obviously. But I think it's more of a mental relief for the guys just to go out and play something for 3 or 4 hours and just kind of get away and turn the cell phone off, don't check the news. And so we are lucky. We're very lucky to have a sport played outdoors. You can play by yourself, and it's still available to some of the guys.
If you have any more questions, please go ahead and raise your hand now. Otherwise, Kevin Kinder here will be the last question.
Coach, you mentioned all the achievements the program has had this year. When you started coming from nothing and, from somewhere without a big golf tradition, did you think it was possible to be a top 25 team, winning tournaments, have guys in the national conversation this quickly?
Yes and no. I just hoped that we would improve every year once we got started. And I didn't know if that meant cracking in the top 100 or what. So to be, to make it to the NCAA regionals last year, we were a lock again this year, being in the top 25 at one point. It's just been a fun ride, but it's really about the quality of the guys that we have. You can get lucky or you can get unlucky in recruiting, and I've just been able to be very lucky. And we've had some guys that they handle their business at school, they handle working out and practicing the right way, but they're also a lot of fun to be around. And honestly, that was the hard part about this year is we started from scratch a few years ago, and now it's so much fun to be around these guys. We've had a crew the last 2 years that I was just like, wow, I'm so lucky. I mean, I want to be around these guys. I want to practice with them. I want to travel with them. And it's just fun going to tournaments where you've got all these traditional powers and southern schools that have great facilities and weather. And here comes West Virginia. They don't know anything about us. And, we've been beating them. And, to be in the final pairing with Vanderbilt and Florida at the Gator Invitational, I mean, there's really no reason we should be there. So I just love that, that mentality of like, hey, we're just going to go down there and we've got nothing to lose. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully this whole situation doesn't take a lot of momentum away from us. I know our incoming guys, our recruits are very excited about coming up here, and we'll see who all stays around for next year, but it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can kind of keep it going.
All right, Mike Kazaza snuck one in here. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Just some of the things you talked about with sports and getting back on our television screens and getting people back out there. As a fan or a player or even a coach in college, what do you think about the role golf could do? Because it might not be the first sport back, but it seems like high stakes championship, playoff atmosphere, whatever. It might be some of those in a row, but also similar, I guess, but separate. Without a crowd, you don't think of golf as a spectator sport, but they're always lined fairways and armies following the final group. It would seem weird, even though it's such a an individual sport where quiet and peacefulness is kind of part of the performance process. Those two things. What have you thought about those?
Well, first part, I mean, golf, I feel like the Masters just crosses over every sport. I mean, I don't care if you're a golf fan or not, like you understand the Masters, you love the Masters. And it holds a special place, I think, in the sporting world, apart from just your average PGA Tour event. So that's definitely special. Hopefully that gets played, and if people can watch that at some point 2020, I think that would certainly help. But yeah, as far as the crowd, I always say there's golf and then there's tournament golf, and they're not at all the same. There's golf. Me and Grand Dovey going out playing in the Pines is different than me and Grand Dovey playing in the State Am. It's just different. It's hard to explain. And the crowd certainly adds to that when the crowd is there. I mean, when you got somebody watching you play, it just totally changes everything. And it's the same thing. You go shoot free throws in the Coliseum, nobody's there. Make them pretty easy. You put, 15, 20,000 people in there, it's going to be a little bit different, So that's definitely part of sports when you have people there. Just the crowd influences you, puts pressure on you. And yes, I understand golf is a, individual sport. It's, you go play it by yourself. But when you talk about tournament golf and you have a crowd there, just go try to play in a Ryder Cup, and try to make a 6-foot putt for par. It's going to be different than anything else. So the crowd is a huge part of it. And that's what I hope we can get back to is, filling stadiums and, having the gallery and at golf courses and coliseums and baseball stadiums. Like we definitely need the crowd back for it to be, what it is. I mean, I'm a big Saints fan, so I've been watching the replay of when they came back to the Superdome after Katrina and what it meant to the Gulf region. And, it was the crowd. The crowd meant everything. So hopefully we can see stadiums packed again, and even folks out watching the golf.
I don't think I can qualify for the State Am with an 18 handicap. We have one more question from Greg Hunter.
So Sean is wondering how you and the family are just handling this. You're a guy who's used to going outside a great deal. You probably fire a few golf balls into the woods in your backyard or something, but how have you handled this? How's the family handled it?
Well, I mean, like I said, when all the news broke, it was on my birthday. So it was just a weird day because you're excited somehow you made it to 40. But then at the same time, your whole season's coming to an end. So that, the first few days were kind of just weird, but honestly, I mean, Kate's done a great job. She's handling the schoolwork in the morning with Keenan online for school, and then I'm the PE teacher. So like I said, we'll go out and play golf or throw the football, throw the baseball around. Luckily the golf courses have been open here and the weather's been okay. So every now and then we'll go out and walk, maybe walk 9 holes, and Keenan he's to the age where he can go out and play and walk. And so we've been able to enjoy that a little bit, which is nice. And, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are realizing this, that there's not a whole lot to do. I mean, I don't have meetings to go to. I don't have practices to go to. I don't have workouts to go to. I don't have recruiting to travel to. So we spent a lot of time together, which has been great. Fired up the grill every night, got the fire pit going. And, in that regards, we're trying to make the best of the situation, I should say. And, I think it's something that kids that are Keenan's age or maybe a little bit older are going to look back of, like, they're going to remember this time. Hopefully it passes in the next few weeks or months or whatever, and we can look back, but they're going to remember, like, wow, that was the time where Dad wasn't gone every day, recruiting or something. So we're trying to make the best of it, and it's actually been kind of fun in that regards.
All right, just a reminder, tomorrow, 11 a.m., Neil Brown in the same format, and then Thursday, 11 a.m., track and field and cross-country coach Sean Cleary in the same format. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Yes, I get a lot of Sean Cleary's emails, by the way, because pretty close. But Grand Dovey's giving swing tips after this, so stay tuned.